It's not working.
Okay. You guys okay? You ready?
Recording has started.
Okay. Thank you. Uh, Good evening, everyone. It's Ron. It's good timing. It's about 3 minutes after, so it's about what time we normally get started. Uh, we had a great session on yesterday, and we'll try to pick it up again today. I apologized on yesterday because Charles had a question on the table that I forgot about. So at some point, hopefully tonight, we'll look at chapter 14 of Matthew. But first, I want to ask again, do we have any questions or anything that we may have spoke on yesterday? I know Pastor spoke of in quite a bit of detail yesterday afternoon. He's going to join us maybe a tad bit late, but he's going to be here shortly, okay? But do you have any questions to get us started? Anyone? Okay. Well,
Well, this is Angela.
Angela.
Hey, everybody. I didn't have a question about anything, but I was wanting to ask: have anybody had a chance to watch the movie "Leave the World Behind," the Netflix movie that just came out?
Oh no, I'm not fixing to watch the movie.
Huh?
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Have you seen it, Angela? Was it something significant you think we that ties into what we've been
hmm
discussing?
I think yeah, you should take a look at it. Yeah, it's supposed to be
Okay, what's the name of it again?
Obama. Leave the World Behind. It just came out. No, I mean December the 8th.
Okay. Okay, thank you. If I get opportunity, I will. I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Okay. Um, Charles had a question on chapter 14 of Matthew, and it was starting at verse 22 about Jesus walking on the water. And it's a lot of stuff in here. And of course, uh these are verses we are quite familiar with, and no doubt we probably have talked about this before, but I found myself looking at this almost feeling like I'm seeing it again for the first time. A lot of information. Uh, and immediately he made, this is chapter 14 of Matthew, starting at verse 22. And immediately he made the disciples get into the boat and go ahead of him to the other side while he sent the multitude away. Now, this is taking place right after he feeds the 5,000, right? With the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. So, if anybody sees anything there to tie that together, because I do think they're related. But I had no, I've been sort of just concentrating from verse 22 to kind of get an understanding of that. But and after he had sent the multitude away, he went into the mountain to himself and prayed. And when he was evening, he was there alone. But the boat was already many stands away from the land, status away from the land, battered by the waves, for the wind was contrary. And in the fourth and watch of the night, he came to them walking on the sea. Um, Anybody want to take a look at? Anybody want to talk about what they see in this?
But I have a question. what was Charles's question about this particular verse or those verses?
Charles, you want to reframe your question? I think you just want to know what was it saying, right? What was it stating? But I don't want to speak for you. Did you have a specific question, sir?
My question was when he left the multitude and he told the multitude to go across to the other side, and during that time when they all left, and he went and prayed. And okay, I want to know, why he left the multitude to go across on the other side, and the reason he wouldn't pray. And that during that time of his prayer, that's when he started walking on the water, and they thought he was a ghost, and they realized it was Jesus. And that's when Peter asked him, "Permit me to come unto you?" And he said, "Yes." And he was walking just like people were walking, just like Jesus was. But it was a lot of wind and stuff going on during that time when Jesus was walking. And when he said he saw the wind, and I understand that you can't see the wind. And so there's a lot of meat was in there. And I'm trying to understand, and because most people are saying he took his eyes off Jesus, then he went to sing. I'm thinking there's more to it than that. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do everyone
Yeah.
what I'm, okay, that's what I'm asking.
Is that better, Kathy? I'm sorry, Pastor. Were you saying something?
No, Kathy raised the question. Was that clear, Kathy?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The thing that Charles raised about the wind, seeing the wind, that's more of an observation. He observed the wind. He was aware of the wind blowing. So I don't believe any of it has anything to do with the literal wind or the literal walking on water, but more speaking more to life itself. So we can get into that. But Ron, what did you see?
Me? I see.
Yeah, or anyone else for that matter.
I see this thing that we once called duality. I think it's showing us who we are and what we're capable of. I see Jesus as being the soul of who, and the 12 disciples representing the parts of a man, the parts of a human that has to come together and be one. And so the water to me represents those obstacles, those things in our lives that we become comfortable with, that we can not handle, but it becomes a part of our lives and we work around it. For example, the relationship between the African and the European and America. It is one of contention, but we work around it. We've become comfortable with it. We're used to it. But so the comfort doesn't mean that it's fixed. It doesn't mean that it is a healthy type of relationship. So it looks like a duality is what it looks like. So when you get to know who you are and when you see who you are, it talks about him sending them, or he separates himself from them, in order that they can see the storm, in order that they can see clearly uh, themselves. The storm represents the chaotic thinking and who we are. So that's what they able to see. So I see this as, but as Charles says, there's so much in this that I can't answer all of it, but that's kind of just of what I see. I think the water represents the mysteries of man and the struggles that we encounter on a daily basis.
Okay. Anyone else?
It also says that Jesus came in the fourth watch of the night.
Mhm.
I think 4 representing stability and balance. That's all I got.
That's all. Okay.
I looked at that in part too, and I could only go with the 4 to Audrey, but to in Sayers terms, the fourth watch is talking between a little after 3 a.m., between 3 and 6
3
a.m.
and 6, yeah.
So I did not know the significance of that either. So
The last watch of the night is the darkest part of the night. It's considered to be the darkest part of the night as it moves towards the dawn. And it is considered also to be one of the most important watches for that night, of the night, rather. And during the fourth watch, it's a 3-hour period. And I think that it looks at more than, as Audrey said, yes, balance. I do believe that it looks at balance, but I also think that it speaks to us in another way as well. And that is, it speaks to our creative abilities as well. What does that mean? I think it's talking about whether or not we are going to remain balanced, or are we going to allow the circumstances in our lives to become an adversary to us. I believe also, and again, there's a lot in here, as you said, Ron. I believe also, in speaking of the water, that is showing us something about ourselves. If he said, "Come to me," when we were searching for ourselves, we wanted to know who we were, and we wanted to know how Jesus fit into this pattern of our lives. And the disciples, I believe they were, what Peter was doing, Peter was making an effort to rise above the circumstances in his life by focusing on what spirituality is. And all of us are Peter in that regard. We focus on what we've learned about ourselves in relationship to our Creator. And when we take our eyes off of that relationship, we take our eyes off of the reality of who we have been created to be, then what happens is we allow the distractions around us to win. We allow those things around us to cause us to take our eyes off of what we should be focused on, meaning that we no longer have as a priority to remain one with who we're created to be. The circumstances causes us causes that to leave our minds, and we begin to submit or to battle with the distractions, the circumstances, and as a result of that, we begin to sink deeper into our own depressions or our own feelings of weakness or inability to handle the distractions around us.
Pastor, I thought, I'm sorry, did I interrupt someone? what I was going to say is, I thought him seeing the wind was significant in this way. We've talked about this before, wind, breath, spirit, all of those meaning one. I think we can put ourselves, or we are to put ourselves in each one of these places. We can look at this collectively or individually where we are and the journey that we're taking. And I see him not recognizing that even though he felt the wind does not mean that your breath is your enemy. He just panicked because it was something that he was not used to, or was not a part of himself that he was not familiar with when he stepped out on the water. So I think too, it has been a part of each and every one of us on this journey when we step out into some unfamiliar territory and we feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, and even though he said, Lord, call me and I'll come.
Yeah.
Jesus says, come, but he still lost sight. And that's all of us. I mean,
exactly.
We know we can come as you are, but we still lose sight of things when we allow distractions to get in the way.
But at this period of time, let's think about that in the period that we're talking about with Jesus and the disciples. At this period of time, we are being taught. We are learning who we are. We don't really know yet at this period what Peter is. You're not clear. It's hard to grasp that you're Elohim. It's hard to hold on to that, and the distractions in our lives. It's a variable that makes it more difficult for us to hold on to the reality that we are Elohim. And even though we have embraced it, even though we say we are Elohim, that sometimes the distractions are so strong until we lose sight of who we are, and we begin to respond to circumstances in the way that we have grown accustomed to, and we revert to that the attitude as to who we were as opposed to who we know we are, and we have to grow stronger in that regard to the point where these distractions don't bother us anymore, and these distractions don't cause us to lose the vision as to who we are. We can stay focused even though the wind, the rain, the storm, the circumstances all around us. We get to a place where we don't allow them to determine how we're going to respond to these distractions or the circumstances around us. Make sense?
It does. One of the things too, one of the things that stuck out to me was verse 26. Because it's no coincidence to talk about the wind, but it said they thought and frightened, they thought it was a ghost. Again, ghost speaks of spirit, it speaks of the wind. So this to me speaks of, no matter where you are, you can start at any point in starting this journey, but it is a journey that you must take. Peter had to step out of the boat. He didn't come pick Peter up and carry Peter. Ron has to take the journey for Ron, and in doing so, becoming familiar with who I truly am versus who I have built myself to be. So all these references to the wind and them even talking about a ghost, and then everything stops when he gets into the vessel with them. So all of that to me, it speaks to us becoming one with our soul, becoming one with that inner part of us that is real, that we may not be so familiar with when the journey starts.
So Peter left his comfort zone,
Yes, as we all have.
and Jesus gave us a lesson in that when he went to Peter's comfort zone. What does that mean? He dealt with Peter on the basis of where he was. He did not snatch him away from his comfort zone. He joined him in it in order to help him move beyond it.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yes. And the sinking, and I think you addressed this already, but I at least I could really kind of only word pop in my head is testify to it. But the only reason I can identify with that is just that feeling sometimes in life that you're overwhelmed, that you're into something that you cannot control, and life is just on top of you, and it just kind of takes your breath away sometimes. And again, I think that is too a part of the journey that this describes, that every man takes, every person takes.
Charles, is this helping you to see it?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay.
And we need to go back to when Jesus was praying, and then he started walking on the water. It was power in him that had that storm to be doing like it was doing, because you remember when Jesus was praying in the synagogue and he asked them to stay woke for me or whatever, and when Judas gave him up in that place, and what I mean by that, they was coming for Jesus, and when Judas had kissed them on the cheek to let them know who was the one that they was coming for, and Jesus had asked them, "Who do you seek?" And I don't know whatever was in there, but anyway, when Jesus spoke again, the wind or breath out of his mouth almost pushed them down to the ground. So I'm looking at that with this too, of him walking on the sea. I'm thinking he was walking in his power. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Too?
You have conflated several different things with this.
Okay.
You talked about when you talk about Jesus praying and they could stay awake. That was in the mountain, and that was prior to the guards coming from him in the Garden of Gethsemane. So you've conflated several different portions of that. I would let us focus on this aspect of it, because in the portion where they could not stay awake, that's different than what we're dealing with now. And the Garden of the Gethsemane scene is different than what we're dealing with now, as well as being different than them not being able to stay awake. So rather than try to mix it all together, let's just focus on this particular question that you had in regards to walking on the water, and maybe we can get a clearer picture of what this is saying, to the extent that it would you can see it. Okay.
All right.
All right.
I have a question. What's the significance of the boat? Because Peter got out of the boat to go meet Jesus, but then when they both got back in the boat, the wind just ceased. Is there a significance to the boat itself? I mean, in terms of, and I'm thinking of in terms of it being a vessel.
I'm thinking of it as being his
Yeah.
comfort zone. When he got back into his comfort zone, the wind ceased because he was comfortable where he was. Can you see that, Audrey?
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
But is there any other meaning to that?
It probably is, but that's all I see at the moment. Yeah.
I think that is true, and even looking at it from a large perspective, see this the way the scriptures are written, it looks like several characters here, but Jesus represents our soul. He represents that part of us that, like for example, you say to yourself, I want to know who I am. And it starts the universe into motion. We don't see that part of it. If Kathy don't mind me just using her name for a minute, she and I were talking about something the other day when I went to visit her. We were talking about something that started in motion that she did not see at the time, and it looked like total chaos. But as it turned out, it was God working in her behalf. So when we set out to see truth, we don't see what takes place, how everything takes place. So Jesus represents the soulful part of us that is above these circumstances in life that we have trouble with. These things that the and this is my opinion how I see it. The water represents those things that are obstacles that we become comfortable with, that we don't ever challenge because it is a part of the life that we know. And he's showing you uh there's nothing that you have to be comfortable with that is not in your search for truth. If it is not in your search for truth, then it is a distraction. It is an obstacle that you can overcome. So the vessel, to me, as Pastor said, the comfort zone, the vessel is also us. The vessel is us. So when I recognize the soulful part of me, it brings me comfort. And that's why this thing kind of identifies with where we are, to me anyway. So yeah, I agree with what Pastor said, and I also think if we look at it from an individual perspective, it is us, or can be.
I can accept that, Ronnie.
I'm like Audrey, that's all I got. Hmm.
You were talking to me, Real.
No, I was saying that's all I have. At this juncture with this particular scripture.
That's all.
This is Barbara.
Hey, Barbara.
Hey, Charles kind of intrigued me when you went back to the part that talks about, well, and you mentioned it too, I think, Ron Pastor, about this is the time when he fed the 5,000 after he fed the 5,000. But it looks like all of that set us up for what's happening now with Peter and his fear versus his comfort versus his discomfort. If you go back to the 5,000, and the bread was the bread was seen as a physical food to appease people's hunger, but it also represented the spiritual food of the word that Yeshua, that Jesus imparted to them. So it represented not only that physical food that it is used up and you have to have some more, but it also represents that eternal sustenance. The word represents the eternal sustenance for the spirit. So, and all of this has to be these two kind of polar type things that we can
Yeah.
accept. We can accept things for the physical, or we can receive spiritual sustenance. And there are 5 loaves of bread, and so the bread can represent transformation. It can represent vibrations of change. It can represent change of opportunity, freedom from confusion, disorder, a lot of different things that sustenance of spiritual bread can represent.
Yeah.
And then there were 2 fish. Fish represents rebirth, fertility, and this is not necessarily all of the meaning of it, but so not only are you getting that eternal sustenance, then the fish also represents, okay, I'm not just giving you any kind of food. I'm giving you food for the soul. That represents rebirth. That fertility represents reproduction. That means it's something that not only you will have, but you will have to share with others. It reproduces itself when you share it. Fish represent wisdom. The fish in the water are sort of like underneath the water. That's where they live and are best at doing what they do physically. But if it represents wisdom, it also is what's spoken to that part of us that we can't see, that spiritual part, the unconsciousness apart from the mind that we can't see, as opposed to the mind that we often let rule us. So it also can represent nourishing that part of us as well, the fish. So it looks like we've got a nice blend of things that feed the soul and the body, depending on what you look at. Again, I'm dealing with polarities as well. The water can signify stability. It can signify tranquility. It can signify balance. It can signify power and strength when you're talking about physically. But it also signifies the Holy Spirit, which is a comforter. Whereas the water can be a discomfort with the wind blowing. And if you're in a boat and you don't have a way to steer the boat, you're at the mercy of that powerful strength and that powerful power of the wind. But the other part of it is the spiritual part that represents the Holy Spirit, and that's the comfort. That's the comforter. That's feeding on the sustenance of the eternal bread and the fish of rebirth and spiritual wisdom provides that comfort. And so, whereas the wind can be an uncontrolled force, a raw force, it can also represent the comfort of the Holy Spirit, feeding and nurturing and providing harmony and balance. So that's a setting I saw up front to get us ready for this trip, this journey. And so the question is, what have we been eating, and for what purpose have we been eating? Have we been feeding our physical body, or have we been feeding and nurturing our spirit, our spiritual essence? Well, if you look at what happened with Jesus walking on the water and the disciples seeing him, they had to go on their journey, as each of us has to go on our journey. And the path that we take is designed just for us. The experiences that we have are designed just for us, so that we will either grow through it or we will go through it. There's that duality again. If we're going to go through it, why bother unless we choose to grow through it, which means we will not have to repeat certain lessons if we choose to grow through it and learn the spiritual message of what we go through. So the water and the waves and all of that, as you all have said, are the things that we go through, the chaos, the uncontrolled things that seem almost sometimes to drown us, if you will. And we even say that when we in the physical, that, you know, I'm just drowning in everything that's happening with me. Well, the other part of that water is the stability and the tranquility. So again, they had to take this journey. It's an inward journey where you got to get to the point where you can balance out all of the stuff that you feel externally and make it and make it be at peace. And that's the spiritual component of meditation, that allows you to, that peace and all those other things, to be still. All those things that would seem to eat you up, that would seem to drown you, overtake you, overwhelm you. That's the part. If we learn the spiritual aspect of this, not learn, I'm sorry, if we just simply be the spirit that we are, the essence that we are, and remember that, who we are, then the journey is that I can walk above my circumstances. I don't have to let it overtake me. I don't have to let stuff overwhelm me. And so all of it is about my choice, knowing what I know about myself. And that's, again, part of the journey that we each have to take. So that's part of what I see. The question is, what food have we eaten, and is it good for the soul? And if it's good for the soul, then we are able to deal with the and calm the chaotic waves and the chaotic circumstances in our lives. So I'll stop right there. That's a lot, but I'll stop.
Question mark. You mentioned go through versus grow through, and what food have you eaten was your question. So this thing that appears to be a dichotomy is just part of the journey, and the separation is to show you who and where you are, right? So that once you make the decision to continue the journey, you see that there is no dichotomy.
Precisely.
Okay.
It's a dichotomy if we choose to continue to see it as a dichotomy.
Yeah.
Or like in the principles, the principles of mind, we can see where two opposites exist at the same time, which means they're really not opposites anymore. One is there to prompt me, but having received that prompt and the message and the knowledge and the wisdom from that prompt, I am no longer bound by what's perceived as a negative component. It is what it is, so that I can grow.
So there are no negative component. Everything is interdependent on each other, no different than feminine and masculine energy, interdependent, inextricably tied together. Those things that we see as burdens or adverse circumstances, they're neither bad nor good. They are inextricably tied to us, whatever they are. Why? In order for us to get a clearer picture of who we are and become more aware of the inherent power, strength, and power and strength that we have to rise above these circumstances. In other words, it's calisthenics for the soul, as opposed to adversities.
Okay, based on what Barb said and what you just said, Pastor, then I see the boat as that place where we come together with the Creator, and it's kind of an inner place where we come together with the Creator where there's no duality, and we can see things clearly with our eye, and know that we're okay, and that we're okay, for lack of a better word. Anyway, with
That's why-
Jesus stepping into the boat with Peter, and then the wind stops and everything, and then all of a sudden they can see clearly who he is and who they are. So I see that boat as sort of internal for all of us. That place where we recognize and the duality becomes a unity.
When you said that, what came to my mind immediately was that the place of recognizing where we recognize who we are, and you said that the duality becomes unity. That is the place where we become aware that there is no such thing as duality, everything is one. Okay. All right. I got it.
See, that pulls everything together, because if you look at verse 13, I wondered by that was a bit of confusion for me at the beginning, was why was Jesus in a boat? Why did it says he withdrew from there in a boat to be in a lonely place by himself. So that, and don't ask me to explain it, but I think that kind of ties it all together, kind of looking at the functionality of the boat, or yeah.
So would you explain it?
Where's Barb? Is she still on?
I'm still on. Well, remember he went to the mountain first, which implied the meditation and the centering of self and the
Yeah.
receiving the essence of it. It's sort of like the cyclical give and take of the essence of the universe that we seek. And so he didn't get in the boat first. He walked on the water, and the symbol the symbol of his walking on the water related to he did not need anything physical at that point.
Real quick,
Go ahead.
I see the boat in relationship to Peter's perspective, and in terms of Peter understanding unity as opposed to duality.
Yes, because the essence of the word incarnate did not need that, because it is one with the Creator, and it's a symbol that we can be one as well, that we are one as well.
Thank you, Barbara, because you said something in that right there that I really, it's just like when he was praying, he was talking to his Father to be in that mood and that power for him to walk on the water.
And really, he was really talking to himself too. I mean, Father is self and self is Father. So
yeah.
It's like when we meditate, same thing.
Thank you, everybody. I really understand this now.
Okay. Anyone else? Any questions or comments? Anything else anyone sees in it?
I thought it was curious that we were talking about the fourth hour. I mean, 4 o'clock in the morning, fourth
Yeah.
hour. And then, you know, a couple of studies ago, Evelyn talked about waking up at 4 o'clock. Well, you know, I didn't say anything, but that's been my experiences lately too. And it's almost
Yeah.
like this is a period where again, I think Pastor explained to you, Ron, that you know there are no distractions, and if you really if you're awake anyway, you may as well listen to what the universe is saying.
Yeah.
And commune with, and it's what happened here about 4 o'clock in the morning. That's what happened with the symbol of Jesus representing the word itself, the essence of the word itself. I just thought that was curious too.
And you're right. I think all of this ties together. I see us in this, not so clearly, but I see us in the journey that we're taking.
Out of all of it that's written and what we've talked about, suppose what's being said here is, without regard to what you have been through or going through or shall go through, regardless of all of that, what I'm showing you is that you are above every bit of it. None of it can cause you to sink unless you lose focus as to who you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see that too, Rev.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's the strength of all of it.
Yeah. I do too. Thank you, everyone.
And even if you lose focus, you can come back to the boat.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd like to go talk about that boat run.
I like the boat.
No matter how I tried to find something, the only thing I could find on that boat was a vessel. Everything came back to, whether you look it up in Aramaic, whether you look it up, Hebrew, it comes back to a vessel. There are different words for ship and whatnot, but it all comes back from the root vessel. So I say, wow.
That's where the idioms come in. Understanding what vessel represents when you use the idiomatic language of the Aramaic.
Uh-huh.
Because when you look at the word vessel, whether Aramaic, Hebrew, Arabic, or whatever, that English for that matter, a vessel is actually your perception. It can be anything. A vessel.
Okay.
A vessel can be something that holds a flower. A vessel can be a boat. A vessel can be our body, your soul, your mind,
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
we can be both, symbolizing our spiritual journey on what the sea of life, if you will.
yeah. So we have to look at the context of it each time we talk about the vessel, right?
Yeah.
And I think the context of it is far more than a boat on some water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. I like that though. That was good. That was good. Anyone else? Any questions?
Right, can I
Anything?
Go ahead.
Yeah, this was Angela. I just wanted to. I looked up boat on something, and it says boat symbolizes a positive, sustaining state of consciousness that prevents one from sinking into a negative condition.
There you go. How'd you got the vote?
Read it one more time, please.
Ansel? Are you muted?
Okay. It says, it says, boat symbolizes a positive, sustaining state of consciousness that prevents one from sinking into a negative condition. And it has water in parentheses, and it bears up, I think that's facilities of the mind.
Faculties of the mind.
Faculties of the mind.
Faculties. Yeah, faculties of the mind.
Yeah.
To me, that ties into what we've said. You know.
That's it. That's the
Yeah.
boat. Yeah. Hey, Ron, that's the
Yeah.
bow on the boat.
That's the bow on the boat.
Yeah.
Okay. Good job. Good question, Charles. Thank you.
You're welcome. It helped me too.
Okay. Is there anyone else? Maybe a question from yesterday or anything we talked about this weekend? Okay. Would you guys mind, if no one else has anything, can I look at one affirmation? Because one of them here I really, really like, and I just want to talk about it for just a few minutes, if you don't mind. I know it's changing the subject a little bit. One of the affirmations says, I have not spoken against the netters, the personification of the attributes of the creator, excuse me. I have not spoken against the netters, N-E-T-E-R-S, the personification of the attributes of the creator. I looked that up because that bothered me, not knowing what a netter was and getting understanding from this book. A netter is anything that the creator has created. The sun is a netter. The solar system is a netter. The stars, the sky, rocks, sand, anything that was created by the creator. So what this is saying is, anything that the creator created is designed to bring us back to the creator, bring us back to ourselves. That is why we say it ourselves all the time. I can go outside and put my feet in the grass. I can walk on the beach and it connects me. It reconnects me. So anything that I allow to just go out and exhale, hug a tree or pick up some sand or anything, there is nothing that the creator does not is not created for your good, to bring you back into remembrance of who you are. I just thought that was beautiful. That is special to me because we've been talking about it in different ways when we talk about nature and indigenous people and living off the land and how they respected the land and everything. So that to me, this kind of tied everything together, and that was one that I thought was really got me a little excited.
Can that go the other way, Ron? Like Peter looked at the wind.
Yeah.
He lost it.
Yeah, you're right.
The netter, well, when we look at the netter, it's everything, as Ron said, that the creator created. And the things that we submit to in regards to what was created is actually the energy of the creation of what was created. Like,
Okay.
Ra was the sun god in quote unquote Egypt. But it wasn't Ra, the sun god, that was worshipped. It was the energy emitted from the sun that was submitted to. It wasn't worship like it is God itself, but it was submitted to it because the energy of the sun is what keeps life functioning in the earth. The energy of the water does the same thing. It is not just the water itself. It is the purpose for it. The energy of it is what keeps us. That was what sustains us. So the energy of everything that is actually no different than the Creator. It's not the rock, it's the energy that the rock emits.
Yeah.
It's the aura of it. The rock is simply a dense form of energy. Coal, a dense form of energy. Because if you stick a match to the coal, what does it release? Energy. So what I'm saying in essence is this, that the way that when we say that we are everything and everything is us, it is because everything is energy. And when we have been taught about our bodies, but the hour to whom the body belongs is the energy. So when the energy leaves the body, what does the body do? The water that makes up most of the body evaporates. And after the evaporation, everything else that was the body reduces itself to what it was before it became a body. Which means that it is a different form of energy, but it's still energy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Everything that loses its form does not die. It becomes life for something else because energy cannot be destroyed. It can be contained, but it can't be destroyed nor created. It can be contained. The waterfalls don't create energy. They are energy. You see what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Now you can harness the energy of the waterfall and you can direct that energy to turn your lights on, play your TV, etc. So that being the case, none of what has been created, regardless of where you look for it, you will find nothing that was created other than what we call a human was created in the image and likeness of the energy force itself. Nothing. Not a dog, not a cat, not a tree, nothing was created in that image. Which means that if we were created in that image, then the same way that the energy forces are guided by our Creator to lead us to a place of recognition of who we really are, then I can understand more clearly why the earth moans and groans waiting for our redemption. Because the energy of the earth itself and everything that's in the earth does not have a direction if it's not given direction. So if this energy force that is an image and likeness of the Creator is the force that is told to dominate the earth, it is simply saying that you are the trustees of the earth. You are the ones in this earth who's to lay a pathway for everything that is. And an example of that is this: the animal is wild, but a man can train him. Okay, what is he doing? He is redirecting the energy of that animal, which means that the things that the capacity of the animal to decide to attack or not to attack, you can mitigate that by virtue of you training that animal. So what does that mean? It means that what you are training that animal to do is to recognize your energy and respect the power of it. And that's the same thing with anything else in the earth. But that does not happen on a continuous basis if you don't recognize the power that you are as an energy force itself. If you only see your body is really nothing in comparison to who you are. Because you can never be, you cannot deteriorate in any way, fashion, or form. Your body will, but not you. Your body simply becomes fertilizer for something else to grow, or something else to spring forth and produce life. But you don't do that. The reason you don't do that is because you are life. And because you are life, you cannot be dismantled and broken into pieces so that you can be shared in different aspects of this earth realm to produce more life. That's not who you are. But a tree can be trimmed, an acorn can be taken from the tree and thrown around. All those things can happen, but it doesn't happen with us like that. So what I'm saying in essence is this: Ein Sof is the light, the energy above all energy, that has a force that's impossible for us to understand or to articulate. But that energy force brought into existence a force called beginnings. And that force called beginnings brought into existence everything that has energy that we see with our eyes as well as our eye. And because of the source of our existence, we have the power to bring into existence whatever we choose to bring into existence. We just don't believe that we can do it because we see ourselves as mere men. We see ourselves as humans as opposed to as God. And when we see that the energy forces are submissive to us, then not when we see it, when we recognize it, because we already are doing it. The energy forces of electricity are submissive to us, and that is the reason we can wire a house, or we can use that electricity to heat the house, cook the food, whatever. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what I'm saying is that the moment that we truly stop looking in the mirror and seeing flesh, and start looking in the mirror and seeing energy, seeing light. I don't mean seeing it with your eyes. I'm talking about seeing it with your eye. The mirror of which I speak is when you cannot see in the mirror that I'm talking about unless you close your eyes. It is impossible to see the mirror that I'm speaking about with your eyes open. It's not going to happen. That is the reason I do believe that just before the fourth watch is the last watch of the night. And the last watch of the night is the watch where wisdom flows. And when the sun comes up, that last watch of wisdom with the opening, with the sunrise comes an understanding of that wisdom, which gives us greater experiences during that day. If we don't have preconceived ideas about how the day is going, we have opportunity to use the understanding of that wisdom and bring it to bear for the benefit of humanity in that day, what we call the day. So I do not believe that the night is only for our bodies to rest. The night is, of course, it's for our bodies to rest, but not only that. Our soul does not need to rest. The spiritual essence does not need to rest at all. Only thing that needs rest is the body. And during the period when the body is resting, what happens? The energy from your body moves to your brain. The only energy that's left in the lower part of your body is enough energy to keep you alive. The rest of it moves into your brain. and it begins to remove the clutter of the day from your mind. And you can wake up every single day with a fresh start if you choose to. But if you wake up in the morning hating your job, if you wake up in the morning thinking that, oh my God, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, you're not benefiting from that last watch in the night where you get a dense form of wisdom that you are able to use for the rest of the day, meaning that wisdom is your understanding. If you just think about this when you get up in the morning and remind yourself of this, no matter what you face during that day, then I guarantee you that your day will not only go smoother, but you would have created in your life, you would have created in your life an avenue for you to not only be happy within yourself, but to be beneficial to everyone who comes into your aura. Simply because there is the energy in there is already ordered. It is not chaotic. It's ordered because of the way you got up that morning, realizing that all of the sludge from the day before, all the sludge from the day before has been washed out of your mind. It's been flushed out. The energy did that. So now your mind is clear. There's no such thing as waking up with the same mind you had yesterday unless you choose to do that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Any questions about what I know what I'm trying to say. I'm just wondering if I'm saying it.
You're saying it.
So let's make an effort to be the source of energy for humanity and everything else in this earth. Because if we are dominators, then the Ein Sof is not going to keep the trees alive. The creator of everything that is not going to do anything in this earth to sustain it. Not one single thing is it going to do sustain it. It'll help you sustain it, but it's not going to do it on its own. If the creator of everything that is was going to do everything to sustain this earth, then we would not be concerned with climate change. We would not have to be dealing with pollution. We are the arbiters for this earth, and we are the ones who, when you know who you are, not only are you obligated to bring harmony to humanity, but you're also obligated to keep this garden that we were placed in good shape. No one will be able to repair the holes in the ozone except us. No one. The creator's not going to do that. He didn't put them in there. He didn't put the holes in there. He's not going to create it. He didn't put the plastic in the ocean. He's not going to take it out. And you say, well, we can't pull all that plastic out. Create a world where the plastic doesn't exist in the ocean. We've talked about the worlds that we live within. We've talked about being in that world where we read in the scriptures that I will bring Cush back to me, even if I had to take it over the great river in chains. Remember that? We live in a world now where it's not there. So what happened to that world? When you embrace the reality of what that was saying, it was no longer needed. When we embrace the reality of what it means to be Elohim, what it means to be dominators in this earth, the words won't be no longer needed, because we can bring into existence a world where the plastic doesn't exist. Just like we can make a declaration that the war is over. Just like we can declare that COVID is done. Now that we have come to grips with this whole idea of church, there's no need for COVID anymore. It's done. Just like we are able to do that, as we have been able to do many things in the past in the same manner. We have the power, we have the ability to do this. We can clean this earth. We can make it pristine again, because the ones who destroyed this earth, or attempted to destroy this earth, the ones who polluted this earth, they did it out of greed, and they did not do it in a righteous way, and unrighteousness cannot stand. And if we are creators, we have the power to create anything we desire to create. And our desire to create must go beyond harmony for mankind, because you cannot be in harmony if the ground is polluted and you can't get food from it. You cannot be in harmony if there's not enough clean water to go around. You cannot be in harmony if your children are asthmatic because of what the foods that they're receiving. We have the power that has been given to us to change all of these things through our creative powers. If that is not true, then we need to stop saying that we are Elohim. We need to cease. If you don't believe any of this, then you don't believe you God. You don't believe you're Elohim. You don't believe that you're the creator. And there's no way for you not to be the creator if you're the image and likeness. Does that make sense? Any questions or comments about this? I just need to see if it's clear with you.
It's clear.
It's
I don't have
clear.
a question. Yeah.
So when are we going to do it? Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow is too late. The time is now.
Yeah.
No affirmation necessary. But you choose within yourself the moment that you're going to embrace what you just heard. The moment that you're going to embrace who you really are. And the moment that you make the declarations about the things that need to be changed so this earth can be pristine again.
Yeah.
We have to do that. I'm not afraid about the plastic in the ocean. Yes, it hurts my heart that the fish of the sea, they are dying. They are being strangled to death because of the plastic. So let's stop feeling sorry for the fish and do something about it. Because lamenting it is not changing it. We can lament what's happening in Gaza all day long. It's not going to change it. The only thing that's going to change it is that we have the creative power to change it. We have the creative power to stop it. It's done. Do you believe that? It's done. So the earth no longer has to moan or groan, waiting for our redemption. We have been redeemed. We have been redeemed from mere men. Our redemption came the moment that we embrace that we are Elohim. No longer are we in bondage to being mere men. No longer are we in bondage to the fear of what may come. We're no longer in bondage to what others are trying to put on our back and cause us to carry. We are no longer in bondage to anything. The only thing that can ever keep you in bondage is yourself. If you can put a shackle on the one who created us, then you go ahead and do that. If you can put in bondage the one who created you, you go ahead and do that and see how that works out for you. And if I'm that image and likeness, the only way that you can convince me that I am in shackles is through my mind. You have to get me to thinking that I'm in shackles. That's it. That's exactly what happened in the making of a slave. Willie Lynch, in the mind, not the soul. In my soul, it doesn't matter how many chains, I'm free. Now let's act like we're free. I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Any questions about anything Pastor said, y'all? Comments? Okay, well, this looks like a good place then to rest for the evening. We doesn't seem like a long time. We've talked about a lot this evening. So let your meditations be clear and precise, and have a great week. Just celebrate the week. Let's celebrate life. We've accomplished a lot. We have accomplished a lot. So
Thank you.
let's have a great week. Okay.
Have a
If-
good evening, guys.
Okay. No other questions. Have a good
Anybody else?
evening. Look forward to seeing you Saturday.
No. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.